Steve, Lauren, Nigerian governmental authorities have not identified any suspected groups responsible for carrying out this attack, leading to more frustration amongst members here who are hoping for peace in the region in 2024.
I felt the Lord called me to come and identify with Nigerian immigrants in the United States.
Reverend God's Power Ugba has been in Raleigh for 5 years, and like many congregants, some who were on holiday in Nigeria during the attacks, he's horrified by what's unfolded.
But for me, what is going on is a genocide against the Christian community.
On Christmas Eve, gunmen raided the North Central Plateau state. According to Amnesty International's Nigeria office, the bulk of victims are from predominantly Christian areas. While no group has claimed responsibility for the slaughter, herders from the Fulani tribe have received focus as they've been accused of perpetrating killings in portions of the country where growing concerns over land and water access have inflamed tensions between Christians and Muslims. Less than 2 weeks prior to this latest round of violence, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom highlighted a series of attacks it claims were religiously motivated.
Nigeria needs to reach out to foreign nations, for instance, the United States of America, and ask for intelligence support to deal with this situation.
A U.S. State Department spokesperson says it cannot confirm motivations for the most recent bloodshed, while sourcing experts who note causes of previous conflicts range from ethnic divisions, politics, criminality, lack of justice and accountability for violence, increasing competition over dwindling resources, and religious identity.
Now, the Reverend says he knows people who have been displaced in that region following this latest round of violence, saying he is concerned they will ultimately leave the country over safety concerns. Now, as for the U.S. State Department, they say they continue to have conversation with their Nigerian counterparts.
Okay. "200 or more Christians massacred in Christmas attacks across Nigeria." Plateau, Nigeria, terrorists killed more than 200 Christians in a series of Christmas time attacks on villages in Nigeria, Middle Belt, and Northeast. Humanitarian advocacy groups reported the death toll continues to rise. Attacks conducted by bandits, a term encompassing organized terror groups and other criminal groups, December 23rd to 28th. And as many as 80 villages in Plateau State. Christian Aid Group released international report December 30th. Bodies continue to be discovered. And attacks are expected to continue. Release international reported. "My house was burnt and I mourned on Christmas Day." International Christian Concern, ICC, quoted Naomi, a resident of Mayon, who lost 4 family members in the attacks and fled to a camp for internally displaced persons. Additionally, unidentified terrorists killed 8 Christians in Taraba State in northeastern Nigeria, December 28th, following the massacre of 13 Christians in the area the previous week. Morning Star News and Christian Daily International reported January 2nd. Another 2 Christians were killed on Christmas in Adamawa State, also in northern Nigeria. Christian Daily and Morning Star said in Christmas Eve attacks alone, nearly 200 villagers were killed in 21 Christian villages in Plateau. ICC reported DC 28 reported December 28th, basing the numbers on reports from Plateau State government officials, Amnesty International, Nigeria, and the Nigerian Red Cross. Pastors and their families were among the dead. Christian Daily and Morning Star reported December 26th, with the elderly, women, and children representing a disproportionate number of those killed. The terrorists who attacked these Christian communities were in the hundreds, and they carried out the attacks as the hapless Christians were preparing for Christmas programs lined up by their pastors. Dazingo Malo, a resident of an attacked village in Pacos County, told Christian Daily and Morning Star, "We believe they are carrying out these attacks alongside armed Muslim Fulani herdsmen." Churches and homes were destroyed. More than 32,000 residents were displaced, and at least 300 wounded residents were treated at hospitals, according to reports. The attacks on the Middle Belt were said to be the deadliest since militant Fulani herdsmen and others killed 225 in a series of attacks in 2018. Just days before the attacks, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, CIRF, condemned the recent uptick in Islamist insurgent attacks on religious communities across Nigeria. We cannot stand by and watch more Nigerians being targeted on the basis of their faith, especially as we near the holiday season, where we have seen this escalation in the past. U.S. CIRF Vice Chair Frederick A. Davies said in the December 14th press release. U.S. CIRF continues to urge the U.S. State Department to designate Nigeria a country of particular concern for engaging in or tolerating systematic, ongoing, and egregious violation of freedom of religion or belief. The USCIRF noted the killing of at least 10 Christians in Taraba State by militants, the kidnapping of 150 people in Zamfara State, and the murder of 15 rice farmers in Borno State by Boko Haram in the month preceding the December 14th statement. The United States must hold the Nigerian government accountable for failing to protect the religious communities within Nigeria, the USCIRF Commissioner Frank R. Wolf said, calling for an investigation into the effectiveness of the U.S. assistance to Nigeria in achieving religious freedom objectives in the country. Nigerian Christians have accused the Nigerian government of failing to protect vulnerable communities and allowing attacks to continue unchallenged for hours. The Middle Belt Forum, MBF, a self-described social, cultural, non-religious, and non-partisan group, accused the Nigerian government of complicity in the attacks, Arise News reported December 27th. Nigeria's government has long known that the Mahanga Forest in the Plateau State is the hideout insurgents and terrorists use as a launching ground for all attacks, MBF said, but the government has deliberately fortified this evil theater from any destruction, thus providing safe haven for these terrorists to smuggle arms, train their mercenaries, unleash unimaginable terror on innocent citizens without any provocation whatsoever. Militant Fulani herdsmen Boko Haram, Jamastu, Alis, Suna, Lida, Adati, Wal Jihad, Jas, and the Islamic State West Africa, ISWAP, are major terrorists in Nigeria. Nigeria is the deadliest country for Christians, with 5,014 Christians killed there in 2022 for their faith, surpassing the 4,650 killed the previous year. Open Doors US reported in its 2023 World Watch list. Sorry to say, but the United States does not care about Christians. The state is a country that hates Christians. It's only Christian in name only, especially in the White House. Okay, let's not forget that you had Barack Obama, who everybody claimed was Christian, okay, including T.D. Jakes, and he was the one who tried to make the African country of Kenya, to be pro-LGBT, and the president of Kenya shut that down. All right, they're also punishing Gambia for not accepting the Alphabet Mafia. Okay. Nigeria is pretty much, pro-Islam, and and that is how it is. And I wanted to talk about how Jesus said to fear God instead of man. And this is a situation where it comes to that. All right. And here it is. Luke chapter 12. All right. In the meantime, when they were gathered together with an innumerable multitude of people, insomuch that they were trod upon each other, he began to say unto his disciples, first of all, beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in the darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in the cloud shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, after they do have no more they can do. But I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath power to cast thee into hell. I say unto you, fear him. Okay. Are not the 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before God? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, ye are more valuable than the sparrows. Okay. I also say unto you, who shall ever confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the angels of God. But he that denieth me before men shall be denied before the angels of God. Okay. So the reason why I could have just said, go to Luke chapter 12, verse 5, and I'll be there. But I wanted to read the whole thing in context to get you to understand that as Christians, we will be put, in situations, if you're really serious about God, where you're going to have to make a decision. Either you could deny your faith or to have an easy way out, or you're going to stand strong for Jesus Christ. And this is the road. He says, do not fear what people can do to you, because after what they've done to you, it's over. But fear God, who has the power to throw you into hell. Okay. All right. And Christ gave a choice. You don't have to follow him, but you do have to face those consequences if you don't follow him. You don't have to take your Christian life seriously, but you do have to face the consequences when you die and you live the life completely for yourself. Heaven is not for people who just believe in Christ Jesus. Heaven is for people who follow Jesus, and it's not an easy life to live. Living with under Christ that commands that you die to yourself daily, and you feel yourself dying to yourself daily, and Christ is trying to mold you into his image, and there's a conflict within the flesh and the spirit to resist being molded into his image. Okay. And this is not anything new. This is just a regular day at the office for a Christian who's serious about their faith in these countries. Serious about their faith in this country. There have been times when people have been, throughout history, have been killed for their faith in this country. All right. And it's not for, he said the Christian faith is not for the faint of heart. Okay. It's not. And you will have people that will claim to be Christians and say, no, you don't have to do all that. It doesn't take all that. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to go through these persecutions. We don't have to. God's going to protect us. Or when it comes to the tribulation period, oh, well, would God hurt his bride? I wouldn't say it's about hurt, but I would say he put his bride in a serious CrossFit program to get all that excess fat off of her body. Excess sin, bad habits. He's the type of person, he's not going to complain about his bride being fat. He'd be like, come on, honey, let's go for a jog. Okay? Let's do a little bit of running through the hills and through the valleys and through the rain, and let's climb mountains together. All right. Toughening our resolve, strengthening our resolve, and making ourselves more adapt to hard times and not quitting and being healthy and strong. Yeah, that's the type of person Jesus would be with his bride. All right. And this is what awaits us. No, there is no pre-tribulation, that false doctrine that came straight out of the occult. That's not going to help you. There is no pre-tribulation doctrine. There's no Jesus not coming to save you before the tribulation starts. Judgment starts at the house of the Lord. All right. People want to try to use that as an excuse. A lot of Christians are going to be very disappointed. And they may fall away. Hey, this life is not easy, man. All right. I remember when I first got saved and I was at a church and I saw on the overhead projector how they were showing how the wives of Christian missionaries were kidnapped by Muslims, assaulted, and put in mosque, and their husbands could never find them again. You know, those husbands could have just blasphemed God, denied him to try to even get their wife back. All right. But Jesus said, if you deny me before men, I'll deny you before my Father and his heavenly angels. So there's what it is. Okay, I struggle with this. But what are you going to do? All right. You have a choice here. You're either going to live for him or you're going to do your own thing. And that's it. There's no third choice. This is what it is. That's the broad way or the narrow way. And it's hard. The faith is hard. But here's something of comfort right here in the scriptures. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 11 to 12. My persecutions and sufferings that have happened to me at Antioch, at Iconium, and at Lystra, while the persecutions I endured, yet from all the Lord has rescued me. Indeed, all who desire to live a godly life in Jesus Christ will be persecuted. Okay? Antioch, Iconium, and Lystra are cities Paul visited on his first missionary journey, Acts chapter 13 to 14. Prior to Timothy joining him during his second journey, Acts chapter 16, verse 1, since Lystra was Timothy's hometown, Acts chapter 16, verses 1 to 2, he was probably aware of what happened to Paul on his first journey. Thus, Timothy would have known from his earliest awareness of Paul that suffering had been a central part of Paul's work. From them all the Lord rescued me. Does not mean God kept Paul from experiencing any harm in these instances. For in Lystra he was stoned and left for dead. Acts chapter 14, verses 19 to 20. And it is possible that Timothy even witnessed this. Instead, Paul is probably referring both to the fact that the Lord preserved him from death so that he could continue preaching, and to the Lord's work in Paul's heart to keep him faithful even in suffering. See 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 18. Suffering is expected element in Christian living. All right. The actual persecution may be less when there have been more Christian influence on the laws and cultural values of a society, but the unbelieving world will always remain deeply hostile to the gospel. Okay. And that is just it. That is what it is. A lot of people don't like to hear the truth, but this is what it is. Do we fear God, or do we are to fear God and not man? And God still leaves us the choice. Say again in the book of Revelation, he who is holy, let him be holy still. He who is unholy, let him be unholy still. And he who is filthy, let him be filthy still. All right. Peace and God bless. And I just hope those who survived this onslaught, they still have faith in Jesus, and they fight the devil when the devil puts thoughts of being bitter, and to fight against thoughts of revenge. there is it's called the good fight of faith for a reason. All right. Let me know if you're from Nigeria and you've experienced this. If you lived in this part of Nigeria, let me know how you're doing. Let's have a conversation. Other than that, peace and God bless.